This character seems to like blood a lot. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Luri. We're back with Epic 7. More new characters, new skills, and new ultimates.
I'll snuff your flames. As you command.
What's this? I underestimated
Trading
you.
blows? Pity. Be it that this body crumble. I am the blade that cleaves the darkness.
What's this?
Show me what you're made of. Foolish. You're in for more than you can handle. You lack the training. Have you prepared yourselves? So be it. I'll have to teach you myself. I despise the arrogant ones.
Commencing mission. My actions will prove my worth. Do you seriously believe that you can keep up with me? Eyes on your opponent. Coley on standby.
Let's start off with Monarch of the Sword, Azaria. This isn't the only Azaria, so we will be looking at those next. And then we'll look at their ultimate to see how far they come along in terms of animation, just see how much they changed. I actually like this design. Usually, I'm not a big fan of designs of females that don't have a lot of clothes to them, but this one actually looks pretty good. You know, she's just wearing a skirt, whatever those arm things are, a bikini basically. But this actually looks pretty cool. I don't know if those are cracks or if those are like tattoos, maybe blood or something. I like this design a lot. The sword looks cool. Golden pins in her hair, I think that's flower. She has this goddess look to her. She looks amazing. I like the hair. Gold and white always look good. Her eyes change colors from green to gold, it looks like. Out of 10, I'm gonna have to say 9 out of 10. So we're up against Aki here. Cool stance there with the swords being out. I feel like they should be pointing towards their target instead of in a circle. Maybe in a circle, but still pointing towards the target. But let's look at the first skill.
What's this?
So there is a follow-up attack with the first skill. So the first skill just does swords, lunge forward into the person. I think Azaria basically does that anyways, but it's pretty basic. Out of 10, I'm gonna have to give that maybe a 7.5. It is pretty cool. So the follow-up attack itself, I don't know if the swords come up from the ground or if those are just golden spikes that come up from the ground.
Do not block my path.
I underestimated.
Honestly, that one's kind of basic too. Out of 10, I'm gonna have to give that one a 7 out of 10. Attacks the enemy with sword fragments, penetrating the target's defense. When triggered as a counterattack, activates Sword of Duty instead. Sword of Duty, after inflicting fracture on the caster, attacks the enemy with the ritual sword and increases combat readiness of the caster and the foremost ally, except for the caster, by 25%. Inflicts additional damage proportional to the caster's attack on the target and up to 20% injuries. I don't know what 20% injuries means. The soul burn effect increases damage dealt. Fracture increases attack by 20% but decreases defense by 5%. Can stack up to 10 times, remains even after reviving. You ever read something and you're like very confused about what you just read? This sounds pretty good, and I mainly say that because I know I'm not gonna be able to get her because she is a moonlight summon. Passive. Increases penetration resistance by 7%. All counterattack chances of the caster are doubled. And when counterattacking, if the target is a hero, triggers a counterattack from the foremost ally. After attacking, grants a barrier proportional to attack to the caster for 2 turns. This is actually pretty good. I'm gonna give this maybe an 8. Okay, her ultimate.
With the authority that courses through this body, I shall fulfill the revelation upon this land.
I underestimated you. What's
That looks pretty clean, pretty smooth. After inflicting fracture on the caster and dispelling all debuffs, attacks all enemies with the power of the ritual sword, inflicts additional damage proportional to the caster's attack on the target and up to 25% injury. The animation is crisp. Right off the bat, I'm 9.5 out of 10. Looks so good compared to the others areas. Overall, 8.5 out of 10. I would use her if I could get her, but I can't, unfortunately. Let's go to the other Azarias. So in total, there are 4 Azarias, but this is Azaria regularly. Looks like her ultimate. Alright, let's see what her ultimate looks like.
In full bloom. The Sword of Flowers.
Yeah, I never really liked her ultimate in the first place. Summertime Azaria, but let's see her ultimate.
I'd like to return now. I'm putting an end to this.
Far much more better than the first one. Let's move on to the next Azaria. I keep mispronouncing her name to Blair Witch when it's Briar Witch, but let's look at her ultimate.
This is going to hurt.
That one's kind of a homage to the first ultimate we seen, and this is Azaria's new ultimate.
With the authority that courses through this body, I shall fulfill the revelation upon this land.
I underestimated you.
Her ultimate takes a cake out of her other ultimate. I don't think her ultimate's gonna get beaten. Her ultimate is like a 9 out of 10. But yeah, let's move on to the next character. Ruza. Not really your typical design, or at least I would think it's not typical design for Epic 7. This screams more like Xenozone Zero to me. First thing that pops out, which I think many of you already noticed, her tits. Let's move away from there though. Her cape kind of pops out to me. It's like a black cape with a pink undertone. Her weapon kind of looks boring, but I'm assuming that's because it's supposed to be a whip. I don't even know what those things are. A fetish thing. We have like a latex vibe here going on. We got black hair with some gray undertone, pink eyes. I like that. I'm not a big fan of her design, to be quite honest with you. I'm gonna say 7.5 only because they're not showing too much skin. So let's get to the skills.
You're in for more than you can handle.
Where have I heard that voice before? Anyways, first skill.
How sad.
Liquidation. Every time I see this word, I think of Liquidator. Attacks the enemy with a whip and grants increased speed to the caster for 1 turn. Deals additional damage equivalent to 50% of injuries afflicted on the target. So depending on how much injury the person has, depends on how much damage she does. So she swings it and it's a big swing and it comes in. She does it twice. There's like some glow effect. That was pretty cool. Out of 10, I'm gonna have to give probably a 7. There's nothing special to it. There's nothing like mind-blowing to it. So there's not really much you can do with the whip. Okay, to your second skill.
Is this the most you can do?
Not gonna lie, I was expecting a lot more from that. I was expecting it to be like she whips it around them and it creates like this like little mini tornado and then it attacks them, and I was gonna go, oh, that's pretty cool. Creates a gust of wind, dispelling 2 buffs from all enemies and decreasing combat readiness by 20%. Before spreading the selected target's debuffs, grants stealth to the caster for 2 turns. Applies the buffs inflicted on the enemy targets to all enemies except for the target. I mean, I guess that was kind of cool, but like it kind of let me down from expectation. I'm gonna say 7.5. Down to ultimate. Let's see what this does.
With such meager resolve, do you really think you can take me?
Okay, that was actually kind of cool. So there are 2 impact frames. When she swings it forward, there's like a flash and then the explosion has another flash in it. Their character animations are getting smoother with their movement. I also like how there is jiggle physics, but there's not enough to where it's like obvious that there is. You're just like, okay, so there's a bit of physics there. So that was pretty cool. I'm gonna give that an 8.5. Demolition. Attacks the enemy by destroying the surroundings, dispelling all buffs from the target, and decreasing combat readiness by 50% before a 100% chance to inflict laceration and silence for 2 turns. Increases combat readiness of the caster by 50% at the start of the first battle. Grants stealth for 2 turns. Soul burn effect ignores effect resistance. Laceration. When attacked, increases damage suffered by 15%, and when health is reduced, inflicts injuries equivalent to the amount of health reduced. Applies to heroes only. So this is a PvP character. This card is actually pretty cool. Overall, I'm gonna give this character rating about a 9 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. Because those last 2 skills actually sound pretty OP. Move on to the next character. Tactical Archetyped Coil. I'm not opposed to this design, but also don't like it at the exact same time. The guns, I'm not a very big fan of. I don't mind them. I'm not really a big fan of like futuristic guns, especially when it involves like revolver type guns. I'll make an exception to it because it actually looks kind of cool. I really don't like how there's nothing going on down there. I do like the hair. The eyes are blue. We like blue eyes. Black and was that teal? Is that green? I don't know. It looks like it's kind of glowing because the black is just so prominent. I'm not a very big fan of this design. Out of 10, I'm gonna have to say 7. I don't know why she has belt buckles there. Let's get to her skills.
Field experience is crucial.
I'm not mad at that voice. I kind of expected something like that. I don't know why there's a support here. Let's take a look at her first skill. Attacks the enemy with a blade with a 80% chance to inflict 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns. And when the caster is granted overload, increases effect chance by 20%. So does that mean it's like a 100% chance? At the start of the turn, detonates bleeding effects inflicted on the target. Soul Burn effect inflicts 1 additional bleeding. This character seems to like blood a lot. Okay. Overload increases attack and speed by 50%. Upon ending, inflicts energy depletion for 1 turn. Energy depletion decreases attack and speed by 50%. Well, let's see how it looks. Okay, nothing much going on there. It's just she swings twice and it cuts the enemy 2 times. I'm gonna say it's like, I don't want to give it a low score because it is a first skill and that's usually how first skills go. I'm gonna give that a 5.5 because that looks so normal. Guard. After an ally, except for the caster, uses a single attack, grants swift attack to the allied target, and activates flanked strike against enemy targets. This effect is not activated by an extra attack, counterattack, or dual attack. Flank Strike attacks the enemy's flank, dispelling 1 buff and inflicting decreased defense for 2 turns, before increasing combat readiness of the caster by 20%. Swift Attack at the end of the turn increases combat readiness by 50%, dispelled when effect is activated. Let's move to the ultimate.
I simply execute Madam's orders with absolute precision.
That was good. I did not read before. After granting overload to the caster for 2 turns, attacks all enemies with maximum output, dispels 2 buffs, and has 100% chance to inflict a bomb and frostbite for 2 turns. At the end of the turn, detonates bombs inflicted on the target. Frostbite cannot be subjected to damage reduction or damage share. Frostbite effects apply to heroes only. She kind of seems like she might have some promise to her. The ultimate was good. There was an impact frame. We like impact frames. It's not a bad ultimate, but I'm gonna say this one's I'm gonna say 7.5. I was gonna say 8, but I feel like that's a bit too much. Would I pull for this character? Oh, probably not. Out of 10, I'm about to give her probably a 6.5 overall. Now she does have other form design. I gotta say I like the new design better. Now as a 4-star, her ultimate is not gonna be that good. I've seen it before.
How about this?
The new one is way better than her old one. Next form. Not a very big fan of this design, but it's still cool.
Send you to the grave.
Still better than her first one.
Do you seriously believe that you can keep up with me?
The new one is way better than her old one. So far though, she's number 1. She's in 2nd place. So she's 3rd place.
As decreed by the World Tree, I bestow upon you the revelation of radiance.
With such meager resolve, do you really think you can take me?
I simply execute Madam's orders with absolute precision.